What's up, everybody, and welcome back to How to Be a Boss, the podcast. I am Robert Carden Jr.
I'm Chrissy Brinson.
And I'm Seth Sheely.
So listen, before we get into today's episode, we just want to let you guys know about something new that we're doing over here at How to Be a Boss. It's podcast at aat.team. Feel free to email us. We want to hear from you guys, whether it be your business questions, life advice you may need, or you just want to let us know what you think about the show. We want to hear from you guys, and we are going to respond to you on future episodes. So again, it's podcast at aat.team. We want to hear from you guys. And this week, we're going to be talking about how to build a brand identity. You know, branding is the process of connecting good strategy with good creativity. And that's a quote by Marty Neumeier. What do you guys think about that quote?
I definitely feel like branding does connect what you have going on in the office with like the world. So yeah, I agree with this 100%. I do feel like sometimes, I know at least for me and other business owners that I've spoken with, branding is something that happens after the business has been running. Mm-hmm. So like you don't come up with a brand and then figure out the rest of it. You have to figure out what you have going on so that you can relay that out into the world.
So what would you say is the definition of branding?
That's a good question, Robert. I have trouble with definitions because they're so specific. I ramble. I would say branding is like bringing together in a creative manner what the company stands for, what the company does, and how the company wants to be presented to the world. So what the company wants the world to see aligned with their mission.
Okay, so I recently saw an article as I was putting this together, and it presented 13 interesting questions about what to ask before, building a brand or your company identity. Mm-hmm. And the very first question is, what is your why? So what is your why for AAT?
So my why at this point is a little different than it was in the beginning. All right. And I feel like once I figured out that this was the why, then we created a good brand. Mm. All right. Just so everybody knows how that worked. AAT's why at this point is to help all the dealers across the nation make the most money possible off of their new car inventory. Mm. B, have a group of financially stable and free employees in the process. So once I figured out that it was not just about making money and helping me, and we really shift the focus to making sure that all the employees were taken care of and creating a great opportunity for them by helping all of the clients and creating great opportunities for them. Mm-hmm. Then I came up with the why. I want everybody to win.
That's not a bad why at all.
Yeah.
Seth, what's your why for your photography and videography?
Can we come back to that?
Oh, that was a deer in the headlights look. I loved it.
So I never really came up with a why. It's something I just got into. Like, I was a student. I wanted a camera. I started taking pictures. Next thing I know, someone asked me to do a music video. Next thing I know, someone asked me to do a wedding video. And I just went
I think Seth is like at the point where he doesn't, there's no brand yet. Mm-hmm. So like until you figure out what that why is, you can't translate that into anything like, for the world.
It's kind of, I'm not going to say, well, by definition, I would still say it's just a side hobby, you know, because let's be real, it's like it happens on occasion. So could I call it a brand or like, not yet. It'll get there.
It will, for sure. Yeah.
So I believe, one of the first and one of the most important aspects of branding is the company, aesthetic, the way it looks, the way the company is presented to the world. So in your opinion, why is that important? And like, how do you generate like a strong one?
You try a bunch of things in the beginning. Nobody really nails this the first go round unless you're like hiring, super expensive marketing teams, like a small business. You got to play with it. Like in the beginning, we hired a company to create our logo. It was cute. Over time, like it just needed to be something different. Like once we figured out who we were as a company, we had to adjust. So the logo got more simple and distinct and recognizable. I think that that's a big one for any company. You want people that you do business with to see your logo, or maybe it's an email, or maybe it's like anything related to the company. You want them to know that it's your company. So that was kind of our method to the madness there.
Do you remember what the first logo was?
Yeah, it was blue and gold and white, and it was very similar to what we have now. So like the block with AAT was there, but then it had like advanced auto transfers around it. It was just real complicated. And once I was like, hey, let's just rebrand everything. Like let's come up with something that looks very similar to this, but super duper simple. We just killed everything that was complex about it. So we went with one color, and we went with, just the logo with AAT. So that was kind of
when I first applied. I went and looked at, it was either the Facebook or Instagram, and I remember seeing it somewhere. Yeah. I had to backtrack a little bit, but since you asked me, Robert, your artistry is your brand. What's your why?
My why is because I have a passion for creativity, and I have a passion for the arts and music and, anything creative wise. Like I have a desire to do.
Okay, so I didn't know a passion could be the why. I guess that was okay. I guess you could say I got a passion for filming and stuff. So
here's the way I describe it to people. With me and my two sisters from my mom's side, all three of us have like a creative gene or creative aspect. One sister is, the artist. She paints, she draws, she cooks. Another sister is very much the aesthetic person. Like she can make an arrangement like it's nobody's business. Like basket arrangement, flower arrangement, arrange a room. Like that's her forte. Okay. And I picked up like the music and the theater side. So that's a part of my passion. It's just kind of like almost like my DNA at this point. So yeah, that's my answer.
Love that.
So like, is there a specific reason why the AAT logo is blue? That's something I've always been curious about.
Yes, there is. Okay, so when we started off, we worked with Ford dealers, and Ford is blue. So that was really the biggest beginning to any of that. That's why I wanted blue in there in the beginning at all. Over time, like blue's just a chill color. Mm-hmm. Like, it kind of makes you think like stable, steady, trustworthy. Like, there's a whole psychology behind colors with logos. Like if you just look that phrase up, you can find out so much information about different colors and different schemes. So when you're coming up with your brand as a business, you want to say, okay, what are we putting out into the world? What do we want our customers to think? And then choose your colors accordingly. So like if you look at big brands, and then you compare that to the psychology behind colors, you'll see exactly why their logos look like they do. So that was kind of where we were going with that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, right? So there's this girl I went to high school with. She got into like branding and marketing. And so a lot of people think that a brand is just a logo. Right. So she sent me her, like, she made like just a quick like little book on marketing or branding to like get people to like go to her website. She got me to look at it about a year or two ago, and it talked about logos, like the way logos look, color schemes, like why people have color schemes, and so on and so forth. Like branding isn't just a logo. There's actually like reasons behind the colors and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I just pulled up the color emotion guide here. Like, something like Coca-Cola Red brings, it's like excitement, youthful, bold. Coca-Cola, that's their brand identity. Like they are always on the excitement side. Like you never see a dull Coke commercial at all. Like purple is creative or imaginative. Green is peaceful. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but like if you want a space in your house that's like a chill space, you paint it like a shade of green, because green brings on calmness. Like when up until recently, every bedroom that we've ever had in any house, I painted it like a teal color for that purpose. Like that's just it's tranquil and chill. So like look stuff like that up when you're thinking about what you want to put out there, because you're going to invoke different emotions depending on what color you use.
Whenever I see green, I always think of nature.
Yeah.
And like seeing blue on the AAT logo always made me think of like strength. I don't know if that's related to the color blue.
Yeah, actually. So the 3 words on this chart are trust, dependable, strength.
Oh, well, that describes AAT.
Absolutely.
So like, how do you want, with like the logo and colors and everything, in regards to the brand and company identity, like how do you want others to see AAT?
I want, first off, strength. We've been in the business for a long time. We are really honed in on like making the client process easy and not complex. So I wanted it to be simple. I wanted it to be like bold. So that's kind of the idea behind the logo. Now, as far as our color scheme goes, sleek, simple, not complex. So black, white, blue. A little silver in there every now and then, or gray, but like nothing crazy. That way the blue always pops, and anything we want to bring attention to, that's in blue. Backgrounds are usually black, like just that sleek, modern, but at the same time classic and strong foundation.
So also with that, like a part of company and brand identity is the way, customers experience business. So I'll like pose that question in this way. Like, how do you want the customers or your clients to experience AAT?
Just like I just described our brand, like streamlined, super sleek, modern, easy, strong. Like we have really developed processes for our customers over the years. Like if there's ever a pain point, we address it. So if it's repetitive, we kill that. So, if a customer has an issue and we see that it's a recurring issue, how do we fix this? How do we make it work for us and them at the same time? So just dependable and trustworthy. We've been here for a long time. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. Dealers love us. We have plenty of recommendations from other customers that we can give out. So all of that is brand identity and figuring out how to be able to relay that to the customer without having to say all of those things.
How do like customer reviews play into that, like Google reviews and stuff like that? Because I think we've talked about it a little bit before.
Yeah.
But how much do those type of reviews play into like a brand identity?
So think about like what's the first thing that you do when you go to do business with a new company?
I do look up reviews.
You look up the reviews, and if there's a bunch of bad reviews, you can't really argue with that because they're averaging out. You're going to have people who love you. You're going to have people that hate you. No company should ever have 100% 5-star reviews. Like there's going to be a bad experience in there somewhere. I don't trust any product or service that only has 5-star reviews. Like nobody can be that perfect. You're paying to get them taken off. So then that means like you have something to hide. So then I don't trust that company anymore. And that might be wrong. I don't know, but that's just kind of my first impression on reviews. But like any company that has under 4 stars, I'm probably not even going to give them a chance. So very important that you not only like have reviews there at all, but ask for them. Like it's perfectly fine to ask your customers to go give you a review. And you just have to be cool with whatever they have to say.
If y'all heard a lot of rustling just then, I had a bandana on and forgot to take it off before I came in this morning. So that's what all that noise was.
I had pulled up that brand strategy I was talking about, the little checklist she's got. Basically you got the brand strategy, identity design, print collateral design, brand photography, website design, and digital collateral. Like, and it's like just a little checklist, and like the
I mean, that's
one that I
everything
was
from
talking
like
about
your
earlier.
social media, like everything should match. Your social media, your website, emails that are sent out, what you have to say on the phone, like stuff around the office, all of that stuff should kind of tie together. And that's really what creates a good brand, like where there's no question as to what the intent is.
Have you ever encountered a business with like a bad brand identity?
All the time. All the time. I can't even think of a specific one at this moment. I'm sure if we Googled that, we'd have some doozies and sit here all day. But yeah, any company who puts something in print or on their website and then their actions don't back that up, bad branding. Like it's really misrepresentation of the product at that point. So you definitely want to make sure that your actions back up what you're putting out there in your marketing. I do, but back to like knowing who your customer is. There are a lot of companies now that market on social media that I see, and some of the stuff that they say, I'm kind of taken aback by it. You know what I mean? But they are marketing to a specific type of client who's chill like that. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that, because in our business, like, we cut up and, act a fool. But as far as what we're putting out there, it's real professional, because we are handling millions of dollars worth of inventory and deals and like setting up for our clients. So like, we don't want them to think we're taking that lightly. So I've always tried to be super professional when it comes to marketing. But like, a company that I'm trying to think of one right offhand. What's the company that Shinesty? It's the men's underwear where they have like the little ball hammock and stuff. It's like they put crazy prints on the briefs and stuff. Like it's a little sideways. And so is their marketing. Like the things that they say in their marketing, I'm just like, oh God. But they're marketing to that type of client. So, stuff like that, you gotta think about, why are we here? Who are we talking to? How would they react to us?
And that actually goes straight into like the next question that I had, which was, how does corporate identity tie into marketing? And I think you already answered that question perfectly.
Sure. Yeah. Think about, what the goal is, who you're talking to. Figure out who your customer is, because I think that's the biggest disconnect with branding, is not knowing who your customer actually is and what they're about and what type of person you're talking to. When you can figure that out, you can catch their attention and you can keep it all the way through the sales process.
So like, what advice do you have for a new business or new business owner that can help them make sure that, their corporate or brand identity is presented correctly?
Get it together first and then try to figure all of this out. If you try to figure out your branding strategy in the beginning, you're going to miss the mark tremendously. And then you're going to be running with something crazy. You do have to figure out logos. You do have to figure out, what your marketing strategy is in the beginning. Otherwise, you're not going to last very long. But don't make that so concrete that you have to have it. So like, when it comes to ordering supplies or ordering stuff with your brand on it, don't order enough for the next 10 years, because a couple years in, you'll figure out, different stuff, and you may want to adapt or change it or make it a little better. So just make sure that you're fluid with it in the beginning, so that you can adapt without feeling conflicted, and just be hyper aware of who you're working with, how they're responding to it, so that you can adjust the way that you need to.
About how long was it before, you figured out what AAT's like brand identity was? How long did that take?
4 to 5 years.
So it's not something that you can do in like 6 months or like a year or something?
I feel like you can adjust. If I'm thinking about like how I felt in that moment, I felt like I had it figured out long before that. But like, here we are, 12 years in, and I realize that wasn't the case.
Mhm.
So in that moment, yes, 6 months in, a year in, you're going to think you got it figured out. But even then, you still need to be fluid with it so that you can adjust, because you really, experience is the biggest education.
Mhm.
So the longer that you're in business, the more problems you deal with, the more times you have to talk to a customer about things, like that will humble you tremendously. And I think that part of branding is whoever's in charge needs to be humbled to the fact that, like, it's not about you or what you have to say, it's about the reaction you're getting from your customers.
Mhm.
And if you're worried about you, you're blinded. Like, you have your blinders on to just what you think, and you think everybody else is crazy. But when you take that out of the equation and you're really listening to everybody else and reacting the way that you need to, you see things that you would miss other times. So definitely just be open-minded and willing to change all the time. Because, I mean, even at this point, this far in the game, what we have going on now isn't going to fly for very much longer. I mean, we're going to have to eventually adjust again according to the market. So just be ready to change.
Seth, you got any questions?
Well, I think that also, like, you're
She's
kind
got
of
me over here trying to figure out what my why is.
Yeah, like, that's what I was gonna say. I think that you're kind of at a point with your thing where you're like trying to figure out how to get it out of side hustle mode and into like, hey, this is something that I want to do. So these are all the questions. Like, you're, by doing this podcast, you're kind of being forced into big thinking that you wouldn't necessarily be exposed to if you were just trying to do it on your own.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't exposed to any of that kind of thinking unless I sought it out.
Yeah, ever since we've been doing the podcast, I've been like trying to figure out how to go about like getting an LLC, opening an account, so I could like start doing getting a I think one of my friends told me about something. It's called like Fast Books. And he was like, if you do use that and like do it like 10% increase on your prices, stuff like that. I've been trying to figure out like how to go about, instead of being a side hustle, like being a business. I was just talking to someone earlier today. They told me to start doing like consultations too, like when I get a wedding client, instead of like, do a consultation over the phone or like video call,
Yeah. Free service.
Like I'm trying to, ever since I've been on the podcast, I've been trying to figure out ways to make what I do into a more of a business than a side hustle and be more professional about it.
Yeah. Something long lasting. It's a little overwhelming. It's a lot overwhelming.
Yeah, because I looked up that stuff about the LLC and it was like, man, I can't even remember. I was like, I'm a
But you know what's funny though? Like, the very first time, it's super overwhelming because it seems like a lot. At this point, I have several LLCs, and it's so easy. Like, it really is the most stupid, simple process. The second go around, I was just like, bing, bing, bang, done. And the first time, it felt so heavy. Like, it just took forever. But it wasn't even like, it was me. I was getting in my own way by not just doing what I was looking at. Like, you can literally look up step-by-step instructions for opening an LLC. And it'll be a paragraph or like an article that's like super long. If you really take the meaty parts out of there, like, it's like, do this, do that, do this, you're done. Like, that's all the article says. So you just have to kind of make yourself a list and just do something.
And then, like, you got me over here trying to figure out not just what my why is, but what is TSC Production. It's a photography and videography service, but like I feel like I need more than that. Like, why should a client book with me? Like, what makes me stand out from other people?
Yeah, nothing right now.
And I've always tried to like answer that question, but I can never answer. Like, what makes me stand out from other people? So like, I've had that thought for like a little year or two now, and I can never really like.
This has to do with branding though, because like I said in the beginning, Like I thought I had it figured out, and then like I knew I didn't have it figured out, and it took a long time to really be able to answer that question.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can't answer that question yet is not a problem,
Yeah,
and you shouldn't try to force an answer.
I don't want potential clients to hear that and be like, "Oh, we probably shouldn't book him." Then
I mean,
you know,
I feel like those clients that you're scared of running away, they're already running from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they pick up on, they're looking for a different type of photographer in the first place, right? So like your clients will grow with your business. But I think, you know, you just do stuff. Like get some experience, go try different things, fail epically at some of them, succeed, and then like kind of wiggle your way into something that works. And once you do all of that, you'll figure out what the why is. You'll figure out why you stand out, because you'll make yourself stand out.
So just out of curiosity, like once he figures out what his why is, what would you say the next step would be? Like once someone figures that out, like what's the next thing you think they should do?
I think it depends on the business. So like for you, I would say once you figure out what that why is, just like really double down on selling that point. So whatever got you there. So for me with AAT, what really was the defining moment, I think, for our why is when I figured out all the process. I figured out all the hiring. I got a team to stick. I got rid of some bad eggs and like advocated for the company and the team by doing that. You know, got a team of people who were sticking and they were staying and they were, you know, starting to see real success. That was kind of the defining moment for me. And then once I figured out like, hey, if I make the purpose of all of this to share what made me successful with a group of people and put them on that same track, in the meantime, we're helping clients and putting them on the track to success. Let's double down on that. Like, let's duplicate it. Let's spread that. And that was really when we went into grow mode. Once we got that little core team and just figured out how to duplicate that person and make it bigger and expand the sales team and help a bunch of clients in the process. And now we're able to sell that. So it's like when we're talking to new clients, we can say, hey, we've got a team that's been here for this amount of years and we have this many people that are working on this at the same time. We can confidently tell you what you're asking us to do is a little bit off and we need to do it this way. So then like you become more of an expert in your field. And that builds value. So it's kind of like a snowball effect. Once you figure out that why, everything else kind of lines up.
And see, that's why I'm happy that we're doing this podcast, because I feel like there's information here for someone that's in every aspect of business, someone that is established like you, someone that is still in the process of, you know, figuring things out and putting their business together like Seth. And then there's someone like me that's just, I am absorbing everything at this point for whatever I decide to do in the future. And so with that being said, Seth, like, what is your takeaway from this episode?
My takeaway is I need to figure out my why. Yeah, that's my biggest takeaway.
Well, my takeaway is that details and logos and things like that have more meaning than what's on the surface level. There's purpose behind color. There's purpose behind placement of logos. There's purpose behind everything. And I just have to make sure whatever I decide to do it with purpose.
Yeah, you should be intentional about everything. And I think once you get disciplined enough to be intentional with everything, you can see what works and what doesn't. Because before that, it's just feelings, how you feel in the moment, and then you make bad judgment calls. So I think that, you know, the thing that I want everybody to kind of take away from this is you, in the beginning, all the way through business, even now, like, you have to be able to adapt and you have to be able to change, but you don't want to change so much and so fast. And so often that you don't know what's truly working and what's not, because a lot of things, especially with branding, take time and consistency. And if you're constantly switching it up, then you don't know if it worked or not. So I think, with our logo, when I said that we changed it, we've literally had 2 logos our entire, existence as a business. Even though there was a time period where like I hated what we had at the moment there towards the end of it, it wasn't like I was going to change it and have to rebrand completely just because I felt that way that day. Like it took planning, it took adjusting. So don't make such swift decisions that you end up having to do it all over again next week.
And speaking of things that work and don't work, our website works, so you should visit it at www.autotransfers.com. And our social media sites work as well. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and our YouTube, AAT TV. You should check all of those out. I feel
what
like
actually works as well?
What's
Our
that?
sales team. Our sales team
Yes.
works so amazingly. You should call them if your dealership is in need of inventory right now, or if you have anything to move, hit up the sales team because they will work for you 5 days a week, probably 7, honestly, if you make them. And they will do it to the best of their ability.
And you know who's about to be working with the sales team?
Yes, Robert.
I wasn't going to say that, but
Oh, I'm sorry. I just
no, you're good.
No,
You're good.
Robert's joining our sales team. So, he wants to get some of that money. So we are actively
Yes.
looking for somebody to help with our content and all of our back end stuff. So if you need a job, hit us up on our website or give us a call or
Yeah.
just show up.
Or you can go to our Facebook because there will be a job application there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be here on the podcast, though. Just making that clear. I'm not going anywhere. We're working that out, but
Yeah,
I'm not going anywhere.
This is his baby.
And I was about to say something, but you made me completely forget what it was.
I made you speechless, Robert.
Yeah.
On that note, we're wrapping this episode
Outta
up.
here.
I am Robert Carton Jr.,
I'm Chrissy Bronson.
And I'm Seth Sheely.
and you can check us out next week.
I love that.
I done made Robert speechless. That's crazy.